the thought was, how can I help them grow their business? Because if they grow their business, it grows my business. And so that was kind of a light bulb moment for me. The other one was social media. Once I started and I got my first real lead off of social media, I'm like, wait a minute, this is a whole nother deal. I'm looking at, should I put a billboard up here, or should I do this or do that? I'm always thinking of ways to market myself. And when I got that first lead from social media, which I didn't start till about a year and a half ago, I just started social media right at a year and a half ago. I think October of 20, what are we in 26 now? October of 24. And so that was the other aha moment. So I've really had two of those, and that's those two right there.
Young Drunk!
Hey everybody, this is Jason Ostrowski, and welcome to another episode of the Everything Real Estate Podcast. This week's episode is all about what it really takes to build a sustained, successful real estate career in just a few short years. My guest is Colby Anderson of Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Beach Properties of Florida, an agent whose career started during the early days of the pandemic, yet Colby and his team are already producing over $50 million in annual sales volume. Colby has built an incredible brand through sheer hustle, outstanding social media marketing, strategic relationships, and a modern approach to generating business. He's also recently been selected as one of just 10 founding members of the new HomeServices of America Innovators Council, chosen from a network of more than 40,000 agents nationwide. Today, we're diving deep into how Colby cracked the code to rapid success, what's working in today's market, and the mindset required to become a superstar agent. So let's get into this week's episode and conversation with my special guest, Colby Anderson. I'm really excited today to be joined by 30A's finest, Colby Anderson. Colby, how's it going, man? I know we met very briefly down at the convention. I'm really excited to have you on because what you're doing right now in real estate is almost unprecedented. I mean, your growth and your explosion in your business in a relatively short period of time is it's almost mind-boggling. How's it going, man?
It's good, Jason. I appreciate you having me on the podcast. Man, it's great to be here. We live in one of the most beautiful places in the world. You always could have a few more buyers and sellers in the market, but man, life is good. It's been very, very blessed this year.
Well, as we were talking about right before we hopped on off camera, that I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Every time that I see a video of 30A and that beautiful stretch of beach and those towns and those houses, it's unreal, man. You truly live in paradise, that's for sure.
Well, the fact that it gives you that feeling every time you see it is exactly what I'm going for. I'm trying to paint the picture because it really is. I mean, we live in one of the most beautiful places in our country. You get down to the Caribbean and they've got beaches like we do, but it's rare to have the beaches that we have here on 30A. And man, it just is a beautiful place to live. So I sell that lifestyle. And when guys like you see it and your clients, they're calling you and saying, who can I get with down there? So it's working.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, your videos, and we're going to get into this today, are just amazing. And I told you, I'm working on that 30A money, so I'm going to get there one day. I'm going to come down and see you.
There you go.
You know?
I'll hold you a place.
All right, sounds good, man. All right, so let's hop right into it. You've only been in the business approximately 5 years, yet you've already done over $50 million in volume annually. So what do you think accelerated your growth faster than most agents out there?
So the biggest thing that's got me to here is my relationships and going after builders and investors. Down here we do live in an area where there are a lot of the money comes in and people are doing different projects and stuff like that. And when I realized, I looked at all the guys that were really making the most money down here in real estate, the big agents, and they all had something in common, and they dealt with builders and they dealt with investors. And so for me, that was the first thing that, real estate's tough because you can go in so many different directions. Do you want to work with more buyers or sellers or farm this area or go after commercial or residential? And it can be overwhelming at times. And this is what I tell people. I'm like, you've got to figure out what your lane is. You got to figure out what you like to do and then go after that. For me, I had a little bit of a construction background. So I just started calling on some builders and saying, hey, I would love to sit down and just have lunch with you. And what do you need? I would start sending them some projects. And from that, they would let me list it on the back end. Not only would I sell it on the front end, but I'd list it on the back end. And that's what's really got me here. Now we just started social media in the last year and a half, and that's going to be a whole nother element to what we're doing. So I'm really excited about the future.
You know, it really sounds to me, just in listening to you on different videos, hearing some of your interviews on different podcasts, that you really hustled and you used that knowledge of the construction industry to kind of catapult your business, but you still had that hustle, that you were reaching out to people, you were trying to set stuff up for them, you were trying to get your foot in the door of what could be a very difficult market down where you are, I'm sure, you know, selling high-end properties like you do now. And you found your path and you found your blueprint. And your blueprint, like you had said, is just one of many blueprints that you can have to be successful in real estate. But it seems like you found an incredible niche, and you did it while you were basically starting in the height of the pandemic, which is just crazy. So a lot of agents struggle with consistency early on. What did your daily routine look like? We talk about that hustle. What did your daily routine look like during your first couple of years in the business, especially in that pandemic?
So, you know, it was interesting because we got in the pandemic, and a lot of people think, well, oh, you got in at the best time and people are calling. I didn't have any clients. That was the problem. I had nobody calling me, and I'm seeing all these other agents, you know, and they're killing it. But that wasn't my story. I sat back and I really was just trying to understand the business. And you know how real estate is. You've been doing it long enough to know that it takes time to really understand what you're doing. And but what I would do, I'd come in and I would watch the market, and I'm looking at the hot sheet, and I'm paying attention to what's being bought and sold every day. And then from there, you know, I'm like, what could my best use of time be? And my best use of time is getting in front of people who are transacting often. And so whoever that is in your market, there's somebody out there, there's builders out there that are in your market that you can call on. And so for me, I started calling on some of them, and I would just sit down and have meetings, building relationships, you know. And as I built relationships, that is what took me to the next level with them. And a lot of times I would come in with a deal. So I would see some land, or say, you know, go to a developer and just say, hey man, what do you think about this? I've already kind of done some homework on how many units we can put here. And I would just call around and talk to people about that. I'd spend a lot of time doing that. Then I would set the deal up, bring it to them. And one of my biggest builders that I deal with today, one of my biggest clients, and we do a ton of business together, I brought him a deal. He goes, I'm not interested. I was like, and it was deflating. I was like, okay. I left the meeting, and within, I think it's about a week, he called me. He goes, hey, you know, I told you I'm not interested in that, but I know you're hustling. Go over here and look at these properties for me. I need to get them sold. And so he was switching realtors at the time, and he gave me these 3 properties to sell, and it just started snowballing. So it's just, you know this as well as anybody. You got to start doing the things that are putting your time into the things that are producing.
You know, I heard you, and I almost have the same exact analogy. I think you were talking to Jimmy Burgess. You did an episode together in a car while you were driving, and I was checking that out. And I remember you saying something to the effect where it's like your business is kind of like pushing a car down a hill, and the more momentum, it's tough in the beginning, but the more momentum you get, it kind of perpetuates itself, and it gets a little bit easier. I always had the analogy of your real estate business is like pushing a boulder in the beginning of your career. It's really hard. You got to get your back into it. You really got to, use a lot of effort to get it going. But once you get that boulder rolling, it becomes easier and easier as time goes by. And so for you, was there a specific light bulb moment when everything just clicked? You talked about, learning real estate is not the easiest thing. It takes time. So was there a light bulb moment for you when you knew that your business was about to scale up in a major way?
So there's been a couple of them. One was when the first builder bid on the project that I'd sent to him, and he was an up and coming developer in the area, builder developer, and I sent him something, and he goes, "Nah, we don't, I don't think that's going to work for us." He makes a phone call, calls me the very next morning. He goes, "Hey, I got an investor who wants to do this project. Let's put it under contract." Boom. I knew right then. So what that was is it was a 24 unit condo that I got the sale on the front end. And then I realized that, oh, wait, now I've got 24 units to sell on the back end. So now I can really start to see there's something to this. And if I'm not in that game, then I'm and we work with buyers and sellers every day. I mean, that is our bread and butter, but it just showed me that I can build something different if I start to talk to these guys that are transacting often, and they're kind of up and coming. So the thought was, how can I help them grow their business? Because if they grow their business, it grows my business. And so that was kind of a light bulb moment for me. The other one was social media. Once I started and I got my first real lead off of social media, I'm like, wait a minute. This is a whole nother deal. I'm looking at, should I put a billboard up here, or should I do this or do that? I'm always thinking of ways to market myself. And when I got that first lead from social media, which I didn't start till about a year and a half ago, I just started social media right at a year and a half ago. I think October of 20, what are we in, 26 now? October of 24. And so that was the other aha moment. So I've really had two of those, and that's those two right there.
As a total real estate nerd, your videos got me so excited when I was watching them because they're so well done. And I'm going to dive into that in a few minutes from now. But I want to know your personal branding, and this speaks to your videos. Your personal branding is so good. How has that been in terms of your growth? Like learning what to do, some mistakes agents make with branding. How important has your branding specifically been to your personal growth? Because you talk about light bulb moments. When I look at your videos, you give off that vibe that, like, I want to work with this guy. Like, this guy knows what he's doing. He's really good with these videos. Everything speaks to your professionalism, your luxury brand. Like, how important is your branding, and what are some mistakes that agents make, do you think, with their branding?
Well, what you just said is, I love to hear that. So thank you for saying that, because that's what we're trying to do. I'm trying to put off that this is a professional. This is no hobby, as Jimmy Burgess, if you ever heard him, that this is no hobby. We're not doing this and we just got our license and we're going to see what we can do. And if we can make money here, it's like, no, this is my business and I'm passionate about it. And your business, I'm passionate about because it affects my business. So we're going to do this thing with excellence in the best way that we can. But, from the branding side, it really is all about branding. And I've realized that over the last couple of years. I didn't know that so much on the front end, but it is all about branding. And you're going to make mistakes. I mean, that's one thing about it. Where most people struggle, and you know this probably better than anybody, Jason, just being around the industry for as long as you have, is that most people just don't get started. And that is the biggest problem with real estate in general and realtors out there. It's such a high turnover for the amount of people that get in real estate, and then 2 years later, they're out. And so for me, it's like, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to do things the wrong way. But we're also going to do a lot of things the right way, and we learn from our mistakes. Some of our worst mistakes are our biggest learning curves, and we get that going, and then nobody remembers that 6 months down the road. They just see all these great videos that you're pumping out and this great branding that you're pumping out now, but it didn't start there. I mean, I was literally with my phone going, "Hey, this is Colby. I'm over here at this house, and It's got this square footage. Oh man, cut that. That was the wrong square footage. That was a different, you're just working through these things. And as you work through them, it gets better. And that's what they're so worried about making a mistake, especially on social media, because, thousands of people are seeing it. And who cares? Like, just get out there and do it, because as you do it, you're going to get better.
Yeah, we find that agents are perpetually getting ready to get ready, right? I was guilty of that. I mean, I was the number one
Same.
offender. I was nervous to put anything out there. We're just not sure how it's going to be received. I always tell the story starting this podcast. I didn't know how it was going to be received. I was, the first couple episodes, I'm really timid. I'm really shy. I'm kind of monotone. I'm afraid to kind of speak with confidence. And those things, like you said, get better over time. And so your social media presence now is just insane. I mean, your community videos around 30A are on a whole nother level in terms of their production. You're selling a lifestyle down there, and it's amazing to see. So how intentional has social media been in building your brand now and attracting clients? Because you talked about starting off with investors and builders, and now you're known in that circle, right? So that's going to get you more business, and people are going to bring you business because, oh, by the way, Colby works with a lot of builders and investors. But now the social media side, you're adding that to everything you're doing. How important has that been in attracting new clients now for your business?
It's huge. Well, and it goes... It works for both. That's the beautiful thing about it. These builders and investors and these high net worth guys, they know branding. They know what the content should look like. They've got people around them, or they're watching enough on their social medias to know that it's supposed to look a certain way. So when I started because I was like, okay, I want another revenue stream or a funnel of people coming in, leads that I can get and start showing and buying and selling houses to. But it also goes back to those guys. They see how I brand their houses. They see how we brand the condos coming up and the different things that we're doing through our social media. So it also speaks to them. But Jimmy Burgess was the one that told me. I was the guy that was like, I don't do social media. Facebook came out when we were young. I was younger, obviously, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like that's just not my thing. I could care less. I've got my own world over here. I don't have to do this social media thing. It just wasn't. That wasn't me. And so Instagram, definitely TikTok, none of that stuff. And so when I came over and started talking to Jimmy, he's like, Colby, you have to go video. You have to start doing it. I'm like, if you're telling me this is the future, then what do I need to do? And I would sit there and I would chat with him, and then I'd go to the lab. I'd go to work, go to the office and just start pumping this stuff out, starting to try to create different ideas, different thoughts. And I'm running it by some guys. I end up hiring a guy on my team. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Logan Wilburn, who works for me. And having him come on board kind of changed everything. Here's one thing I'll say, Jason, is if you have the money, you have to reinvest it into the business. If you don't have the money, that's okay. I mean, I know guys that are 40, 50, 60 miles north of us in rural Florida, right below the Alabama line or just over the Alabama line, and they are crushing it because they're doing this right here. Hey, we're out here at this house, but nobody else is doing it in their market. And so they're in every conversation because people are seeing them all the time. And so whether you have the money or not, down here where we're at, everybody's pumping out content. So you got to invest in it. But if you're in a market where not everybody's doing that, just get your phone out and start working it. And you will be surprised the leads that it will do, but also to the people that you are already working with. They want to see that you're pushing their home out and you've got more opportunities to sell it.
One thing that stands out when I watch your videos, and you bring up a great point about investing in what you do. And if anybody who's listening to this, you have to go to Colby's, either his Instagram account or his YouTube channel and just check out his videos, because like I said, you're selling a lifestyle. The thing that I loved about your video and just your production work on it is that you have shots of the community, you have shots of local shops, local restaurants, you have the beach in there. Everything is about that town, that area. You are that hyper local agent that if someone's going to reach out that wants to move down there, you're that guy. And I think that agents need to start thinking in that mindset where we are, because a lot of agents do video. I do video. But those hyper local videos you push out are just, in my opinion, second to none right now. I mean, they're really good, really, really good.
I appreciate you saying that, and you're right. That's what, and it doesn't matter what the lifestyle is. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be, I see some realtors, and they go around and they're just, hey, at this restaurant is this is the top 5 restaurants in our area, or these are top 5 things to do, or whatever. I've got a buddy that he's in rural Florida. I mean, they're $250,000-$300,000 homes up there. If it's $1 million home, it's like a $20 million home down here. And nobody has pools. So, above ground pools in our area, you would never see that. Like these are pretty high dollar homes here, but there it's a big deal. So he's highlighting it because it's a lifestyle that the people where he lives would love to have. And so people can knock it. They can say, well, Colby's down there and he's got this perfect, area that makes it easy for him. Good luck. Like, come down here and get some of it, because it is, you are fighting it out with 100 plus pretty good agents, some really, really good agents, and they're all pumping out content and doing stuff too. So I say all that to say it doesn't matter whether you're down here or not. You can sell something. Figure out how to sell something. Sell the above ground pool. Sell the basement area on the bottom floor. And if you just put the content out, and you don't have to hire anybody, just take your phone and start pushing content. Learn how to edit just a little bit. It's not that hard. There's plenty of YouTube videos on this stuff where we can all do it now. But going out and doing something is going to produce something. And I say that doing the right thing is going to produce something. And social media, I mean, it's not going away. You got to think about the generation that's above us, right? The guys that never had social media, still don't to this day. They're going to be gone here in the next 20 years, and all the generations behind that, all they're going to know is this. So it's only going to get more about video and social media moving forward, in my opinion.
It's the world that we live in. Like you said, you weren't a fan of social media. I'm not a fan of social media, quite honestly, but it's a part of what we do now. It is what it is.
Has to be.
You're not going to change that. If you want to stay relevant, this is where everything is headed, and you have to be on board with that, like it or not. And I want to talk about content in particular, because you talk about, like, it's not about the money that you have to invest in it. It's about getting creative and reaching people that, people want to watch these videos. What do people want to know about this property? What is going to get them excited? What are they going to see that is going to make them continue watching that video? Right? It's not about I'm standing in front of a property. It's bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. What can you tell me about that home that people are going to love, that area that people are going to love? And you do that incredibly well in terms of content. So what I want to know, because social media is a big aspect of what you do now, what actually converts your social media presence into business? Not just content that gets views. Like, what do you find that really works for you from a lead gen standpoint on social media?
So the buckets I kind of go in is lifestyle, real estate, which are homes and different real estate that we have, and if you don't have real estate that you've got listed, go find somebody that will let you show their home or video their home. And most in this market, I mean, if a realtor's telling you no, I just can't understand it. Somebody asked me if they want to video my house. I'm like, go for it. Like any more people that we can have come through. So we do lifestyle. we do video, and then I do personal stuff with my family. I want people to know that I am just a normal dude, and a lot of what we do, I share my faith a lot on my social media. I'm a strong believer in Jesus, and got saved and all that about 9 years ago, and so that's a big part of my life. It may not be everybody's life, but it is mine. And so what I do is I go in there and I share that, and I share that from a standpoint of, I just feel that God's called me to share more about the gospel. I walk closely with him. We do men's groups. We do all these things. So I get on social media and I'm like, I want to share some of this stuff. But Jimmy Burgess, again, he said something a long time ago that really stuck with me. He says, your vibe will attract your tribe. And so some of the things that I'm passionate about may not be some of the things that you're passionate about, and that's okay. And it may not click, but when those things do connect with other people, we do click, and they do start following and watching the content. There's some people that I know that they're Swifties. I mean, brother, if like, I would never follow that or watch that for a second. But you know what? There are millions of people that would. And so this friend of mine in Kansas City, she is doing this Swiftie thing, and she loves the Kansas City Chiefs, and now, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift and all that stuff. And she's just gathered this huge following from that. So lifestyle, real estate, and then personal stuff that you just care about. It may be that you love food, so go around to different restaurants and talk about them and do different things. And that's what produces people that come in, because they just don't want to see the house, Jason, every day. They don't want to see the house. They don't really care. They're not buying that specific house. You have to do that part of it too, because you want to show what kind of content you're putting out, what kind of houses you have listed, and all of that stuff. Plus, you do that for your clients that you're representing. But really, it's more lifestyle and personal that I've seen that people connect with. Then they'll call you and say, hey, we're thinking about selling. We've been watching you for a while. And most of them, I mean, so many people, I have no idea who they are. And they just hit me. They'll DM me, and we take it from there. We start working with them.
It's all that know, like, and trust, right? It's know, like, and trust,
Exactly.
know, like, and trust, know, like, and trust. And that personal stuff, like you said, sprinkled in with your content about your properties, about the community, and who you are as a person, dive into your passion outside of that, makes for a great mix when it comes to social media.
Exactly.
So I want to know, and we talked about a little bit about your hustle in the beginning of your career. And hustle plays an extremely big part. You could call it hunger, desire, whatever you want to call it in the real estate field. But I feel like that's the number one trait that I find that successful agents have. They have that hustle. They have that desire, right? Whatever motivates you in this industry to do good. And so
Yes.
what fuels your desire to keep growing your business at the pace that you're growing?
That's a good question. Man,
I'm putting you on the
I
spot.
don't like I don't like losing. No, it's like because I don't want it to be about that, right? Like there's more to it than just that. But like I love to win. So we were at the BHHS event here whenever we were in Nashville a couple months ago. And I saw those people come across the stage, and I just joined a brand, and I'm just building my business, and I'm like, dude, props to them. But there was something inside of me that I'm like, get to work. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's got to be you standing on that stage, because I want to win. And so I have to do what it takes to do that. So what does that look like day to day? Well, first off, you get into rooms where or podcasts, you're listening to podcasts, you're doing different things, but you're listening to high net worth people or people that are winning in the industry. What are they doing? Jimmy, what do I need to do? When Jimmy Burgess, who I sit down with from time to time, what do I need to do? And I start to take what they tell me and I implement it. And I'm not a guy that was. You gotta understand, man, I've come a long way in 10 years. I got a whole different story before real estate and before some of this stuff. But I wasn't a guy who was as disciplined. I was disciplined in the things that I wanted to do, which is really not discipline, because you really got to be disciplined in the things you don't want to do, which takes you out of your comfort zone, which grows you and all these different things. But what I realized is if I do something long enough and just make myself do it. So for real estate agents, most people don't want to come into the office. They don't need to. They can work from the house. They can do this and that. But the ones that are actually producing are at the office every day.
They show
So
up.
for me, I had to show up at the office every day. So I had to change my workout schedule, start working out really early in the morning in order to get in because I'm taking my kids to school. I got all these different things. So for me, hustle looks like doing the things that you don't really enjoy doing, make them become habits, and get around, high net worth people or people who are producing the most in your industry, whether they're on a podcast and you're listening to them or whether you're able to get into the room with them and find out what they're doing and then start trying to implement some of that stuff along the way.
Yeah, I mean, you touch upon several things there that I'm hearing you say, because my next question was going to be, what do you think causes agents to plateau instead of moving forward? You kind of just answered that question, right? All those things that you just talked about. And one common denominator that I find in successful agents time and time again is, number one, they show up like you talked about. They show up in the office. And number two, they usually get their day started early. And I'm hearing both of those things come out of your mouth, and it's not a surprise to me that you're saying what you're saying, right? And you have that desire, that competitive desire, because I know for me, I feel like every year is almost like playing a video game, right? Like I'm competing against myself, or I'm playing a round of golf.
Level up.
Yeah, level
That's
up, right? I'm trying to level up every year. What do I need to do to get better at what I'm doing? What did I do wrong the past year? What am I going to work on this year to improve my business? And obviously, you're talking about the same thing. So I want to know, for agents in your opinion. Oh, go ahead, Colby. Sorry, man.
No, I want to say one thing to that too, Jason, is, and I don't know what your past is or how, but like if I can do it, brother, I can promise you anybody can do it, because I was not that guy 10 years ago. And even 5 years ago, I have made myself that guy because of just putting little disciplines in along the way that has brought me to where I am today. There was a pastor, Craig Rochelle, that I listened to, and he said, I was the most undisciplined person. Now he's fit. He's all these different things. He said, but I'd implement like one habit a year. And then I got to where I do 2 or 3 a year. And then as he started, 10 years down the road, he was a completely different person. And same thing for me. When I heard that, I'm like, man, I got to start doing these things. So it can be done. You see all these folks that are running and doing some high level things, but most of them, it didn't start there. They weren't born with it is my point.
Yeah, I mean, I had to work on that, like you had said, in my career. I was very undisciplined to start my career. I was just organized chaos all the time. And I've tried to work on my discipline, because that's like a blind spot for me. That's one of those things I really, really have to work on, is my organization. And I've been working on that for years, and I've gotten better at it, becoming more systematic, and we're going to talk about that as well. But yeah, being disciplined is a huge part of being a top producer in our business, because you only have so many hours in the day, right? You have to leave time for yourself, leave time for your family, and you have to produce at a high level. And the only way to do that is through that discipline, through that systematic approach. And so for agents, I want to get your opinion on this, because you are at the forefront of a lot of what's going on in the industry right now and what it takes to be successful. For agents trying to grow their business right now, where do you think the biggest opportunities are in today's market? What do you think out there that agents should be doing and taking advantage of right now to grow their business?
You gotta be doing social media. Social media is a long game. So there's guys, and I haven't implemented in my business yet, because I've just got to carve out the time to do it. But there's guys that do market reports. They do them once a month, or they do them every quarter. They get in front of this, and it's the consistency that people see. I mean, if I were going to say one thing, I would say you've got to get a consistent social media presence in order to win on the back end, because it's coming, and the youngsters coming up underneath us, They know it way better than we do. And so the way I look at it is that is the one thing that you can do, and you can really do it for free. I did it. Didn't cost me a dime for a while. I decided to start putting money into it, but that's the one thing. But it's consistency. You're not going to see it in first 6 months, maybe first year you'll start to see some, but year and a half, you're going to start seeing that. So that's the one thing. And the other thing is just getting out of your comfort zone and making phone calls and trying to just set up lunches with people that you know are that are transacting more than just a house here or there. The last thing I will say is get out in the community. I mean, that is one thing that we do. I tell the folks on my team, I say, I do not want you going home. Like, I know you got a family and we're doing the family thing, but like take your family out to Seaside or Alice Beach or go to the farmer's market this weekend or do this. Like, you have to be in the community because that's where the people are. And you're just building relationships. Relationships equal closings. I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
I couldn't say it any better than that. I mean, that is the essence of our business. And if, we're talking a lot about social media, right? If you don't want to do social media for whatever reason, you better be out there in the community meeting people. You better have those relationships because that's all it's about. And if you don't have people in your pipeline, you don't have people in your sphere of influence, you don't have people you can reach out to on a consistent basis, you don't have much in real estate, right? And so you have to get out there and be where the people are, like you talked about.
One of the things, Jason, I told, for whatever reason, Mahjong, this new game that I did just learned about not long ago, and it seems to be mostly women who play it. I don't know why that is, but at least that's what we see in our area. But I told the women on my team, I'm like, go out and get in these Mahjong groups. That's going to do better for you to get in there and meet the people. If they're in your neighborhood, some of them live in big neighborhoods. I'm like, and they have these groups. I'm like, go out there and start doing that. You play Mahjong for a couple hours a week, and you're going to create a group of people around you that know you and want to do business with you and like you and all this stuff. So just little things like that. Get out in the community and figure out. So for me and you, it may be golf. Like, I don't necessarily want to play golf with my buddies every day. I'm looking on that tee sheet. We get a tee sheet, so I get to see who's playing and who's not. I'm like, very intentional about who I try to play with because I want to meet people. You're not coming in there as a, hey man, I do real estate. Like, be yourself. Go and just build relationships, and through that, it'll pay off. But it's a long game. Real estate is a long game, and that's what most people, where the frustration lies, is they think that they're going to get it all in the first year or two, and man, this thing is a long game to really be successful. But it can be done, and you're making enough money along the way, and having some of your best years ever, which is great. But to really see the fruit of this thing, you got to stick with it.
Well, you got to crack the code, right? And we're still trying to crack that code. Like, there's never going to be perfection, right? Every day, you're striving to be better every day, and I didn't think I would ever do this on this podcast, but I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to give a shout out to my mother. My mother has been in real estate over 40 years. She loves golf. Now, she's semi-retired now. She doesn't do any marketing. She doesn't go out and seek business, but she plays golf almost every day. And she lives in a golf course community, and I'm telling you, everybody wants to work with my mother because they like my mother.
Love it.
And that's as simple as it gets, right? She has a passion of hers. She goes out and she plays golf with different people, and she gets business from it. I mean, that's just all there is. That's the essence of what we do, right? Or what we should do.
That's exactly right. And let me come up with you on that. Shout out to my mother. She's been selling real estate for over 20 years now. She had a career before that. But over 20 years now. And what's cool, Jason, is I just brought her onto the team a couple days ago. She's coming over from the brokerage she's been with for 20 years. I'm like, Mom, come on, let's do this thing together. So, but you're absolutely right. Getting out and being a pillar of the community. People want to do business with who they enjoy. Same with me. When I do life with somebody, I'm like, hey man, who's a a plumber, like somebody that we know, or who's, somebody that we can, has a car dealership or whatever it is. Like those are the people that I don't want to give the money to somebody else. I want to go to the people that I love and care about.
Absolutely, 100%. And I want to, before we get out of here, I want to touch upon, because I mentioned this before, I want to know, because you and I haven't talked about this yet, what is there a system or habits that are non-negotiable to you that help you to maintain such a high level of production? We touched a little bit upon your schedule, but is there a particular system that you follow? Are there some habits that are non-negotiable for you?
So what I did, and this is what I would tell anybody that is in the industry and they get to a point to where they can afford it. You see all the high level guys, they have people that work with them or for them. I've got a guy, and me hiring him was the best move I could ever make. And he's actually my brother-in-law, and my wife, she's so funny because she's like, you're hiring him from his, job he's been at for 10 years. You got to have this money set aside to be able to pay him. Do you have that? I'm like, Rachel, I've got 2 weeks worth of pay. We'll figure the rest of it out. He's coming on board. It drives me to work harder. But, and I say all that to say, when I brought him in, he was better at the systems than I was, Jason. So we started, I knew how to do that, but man, I am a people guy. I can get out, I can have conversations, I can attract the people, and I've done that really well. But I needed help on the systems for me. And some people struggle with the meeting the people and then not so much the systems. But I say all that to say I had to start learning it. And then as I grew and was able to pay somebody else, I just stay on the phone with him, and I talk probably 5 to 10 times a day, and we're constantly going over everything that we've got. So for me, a couple of things is you get back to that person immediately. That is one thing that anything that I have that comes to me, I'm texting him as soon as I walk out of the meeting, hey, send this email over. If not, if you don't have that, get back to the office, send that email over. People want to deal with people who do what they say they're going to do. So I'm very big on that. But for just my daily habits is I got to be in the office. I've got to be making phone calls. So, I set aside, I want to have 5 real estate conversations every day. And I typically have a lot more than that, but I'm trying to just make sure I'm sitting in front of my computer. I'm looking at my list of, prospects, and I'm making phone calls. I'm emailing them. We're having our touch points, all the things that you have to do. But the biggest thing is show up, get social media rolling, and then just follow up with people. You'd be surprised how many people don't follow up. I mean, I have people and they're like, man, you're the best agent. Like, you're always answering the phone. I'm like, other people don't do that. I mean, that should be the easy part of it, but you'd be surprised the little things that people don't do.
Well, like you say, you do what you say you're going to do. And that's what, first and foremost, we should be doing. But that's what people expect out of you, at a bare minimum. And that's, like you said, a lot of times agents struggle with doing that. So you fill that void. So as we wind down here, I want to know if a brand new agent listening to this podcast wanted to build a $50 million business within the next 5 to 7 years in terms of volume, within the next 5 to 7 years, what would the blueprint be for them? Now, we touched upon you can build it a bunch of different ways, but what do you think is the fastest way to do so, in your opinion?
So the two things for me, and if you're in a market, a rural market's going to be different than a market that's in a city or down here 30A or where we're at, because you may not have as many people putting money into some of those other markets, which that's okay too. There's ways around that. But for me down here, when there's investors in the area and there's builders and developers, you have to be talking to them. You have to figure out how to get in front of them, have relationships, start building relationships with them, because that's the one thing that has taken this off to where I am today. the other thing is, and I hate to keep kind of circling back to the same thing, but these are the two things that I believe are going to take me well over $100 million a year in the next 3 to 5 years is social media, staying consistent with that. There's a saying, they say, what's the heaviest weight in the gym? And it's the front door, because nobody wants to open that front door for the first time and go in and have to go into the gym and have to work out around a bunch of people who've been working out for years. You're over there kind of just doing it. But what happens is once you open that front door, once you start that first post and start doing video on social media, it gets a little bit easier. And then I can do it again. I put out content all the time that I'm just like, man, I'm not crazy about that. But it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to do it. So go talk to the people who are transacting often. Try to figure out how to get relationships with them. Meet them at church, whatever that is. Sit down and have a drink with them, a coffee with them. Take them to lunch. And then the other thing is start your social media. And there's so many different ways to go on that. You can do all kinds of different stuff. Start a YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is that you feel like is going to lead you to lead the most people to you, and be consistent in that. And consistency is the key. Just like anything else, you work out 5 days a week versus 1 day a week, there's going to be a big difference at the end of the year. And so it's the same thing with our business. Be consistent in the things that you believe will produce the most. And that is talking to the people that are transacting often and starting down that social media road if you aren't already doing it.
All right. Last question I have for you. And this is kind of off the cuff here, right? So this wasn't on any questions or anything that I put in front of me or in front of you. I want to know, what's one real estate tool or program that has had the biggest impact on your business today? So not 5 years ago, but what is one real estate tool or program that you use that has had the biggest impact on what you're doing right now?
Well, obviously AI. I mean, that's got to be the answer, because everything we run through AI. I mean, we run everything through it. I mean, everything we do. But we just started working with Claude a little bit more, and we're pumping out. Right now, I'm working on getting digital books, and we may go do print some of them too, but really more digital books on all the neighborhoods. So you see the neighborhoods that I'm doing these videos on. So my idea was, and this was just recently, is like, hey, let's have a digital book for each one of these neighborhoods. So we're running Claude to get these, basically digital book of each neighborhood down in Santa Rosa Beach, the different towns. I did a town tour down here. So you got Alice Beach, Rosemary, Seagrove, Seaside. there's like 10 or 12 of them. And then start sharing that with people. Start sharing the content that we're producing. But those are things that would take me, Jason, they would take me or my guy weeks to put that together. We're getting them done in an hour. And so I think you really have to dive in. I tell all of my agents that are with me, is if you're not spending time learning how to work with AI, you are going to get left behind in this business. I mean, and that's any business. I mean, anything you do, the ones that can start to master AI quicker than the others are going to have a leg up on them.
Like we talked about, it's just where we are as of today.
It's where we are.
It's just going to be in the background for us all the time now. There is no getting around that. AI is just going to be a part of our lives, a part of our business. And like you said, it's every business. So you have to get on board with, writing good prompts and getting familiar with these different programs and get in front of them. So that's a great answer. All right, man, we're going to get out of here. I want to let our listeners know, where can they find you online? Because I want them to go see your videos, go see what you're all about. Where's the best place to find you and your team?
Yeah, so we're across all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, but Instagram, and I can't remember TikTok. It's probably the same thing, but Colby Anderson, 38 Real Estate. yeah, come look me up. Would love to talk to anybody. I mean, look, I'm an open book, Jason, just what you and I talked about here. When people reach out, I try to get back to them and just say, hey, how can I help pour into your business? And because, look, we're here to help one another. I want to see the up and coming agents thrive. I want to see you thrive. I want to see me thrive. And so, yeah, come check it out. If you're down in the 30A area, the 30A market, which some people may not even know, that is the panhandle of Florida. I don't know if I said that earlier. The panhandle of Florida. Nobody really knows about it yet. So come check it out before before it gets too busy, and reach out to me when you're down this way.
I'll tell you what, man, some of the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen on camera. I have to make it real. I have to get down there.
You got to get down here, brother.
I call it Jimmy Burgess country down there, so
that's exactly what it is. That's what everybody else calls it too.
All right, man. Colby, I really enjoyed our time together. Thanks for the great information. I think this is going to be hugely beneficial for agents out there trying to grow their business, get your perspective on things. Thank you for your time, man.
Jason, I really enjoyed it, and thank you for having me on. It was great to be with you.
And maybe I'll see you. Are you going to Summit? Are you going to be down at Summit?
I am. I will be there.
I think I'm going to see you there.
Look forward to it, brother.
All right, buddy.
You.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Young John!